We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karneve Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabharya Jatraha Stirairangaihi Stushtvagum Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddashrabaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying the first Upanishad in our series of 12 Upanishads, Kaivalya Upanishad. This is a minor Upanishad where we don't have Shankaracharya's commentary. The 10 major Upanishads which have Shankaracharya's commentaries are termed as major. Major means they're important ones. Normally in Vedantic schools, they take 4 or 5 Upanishads and see the gist of the Upanishads. And this is to understand the essence between Jeevathma and Paramatma. So the purpose of study of Upanishad is to understand that there is one reality. Reality means something which is existent and something which is conscious. This is very distinct from the world. The world is insentient. The world is jadam. Jadam means inert. Our body is inert. Whatever we see in the world is all inert. But in the human beings and the living beings, we see some sentiency. Sentiency means life. We are trying to understand what is this life. Some people say our prana is the life because that is what is visible to us. When the prana, the body is not breathing, we say that the person is no more. Some people think that the mind is the reality because when they sleep, they say there is no world. So what is this world and who am I? That is the question which is a mystery to the entire mankind. Upanishads try to give a very different picture of the universe. Upanishad tells us that we are made up of 2 factors. One is the insentient matter, which is made up of 5 elements. The whole world is also made up of 5 elements, which is called as anatma. The sthula shariram, the sukshma shariram, the karana shariram, all of them are jadam, inert, without any life. There is no difference between the 5 elements and our body. So, one aspect of the body and the world is common, that is the jadatvam. Bhautikatvam means they are both made up of the 5 elements. Drishyatvam. Drishyatvam means it is seen. Then Savikaratvam. Savikaratvam means it is changing. Even though it is dead material, it is only insentient material, it is changing. We see air moving, we see the mountains, the rivers are moving. Insentient, but they are moving. So change, Savikaratvam is another factor for the anatma world. Changing, always changing. Then agama pahitvam. It comes and goes, appears, disappears, appears, disappears, disappears in the sleep state, appears in the waking state. So what is this world? Anatma consists of these 5 properties. Number 1, it is bhautikatvam, made up of 5 elements. Savikaratvam, changing. Number 2. Number 3, agama pahitvam, appears and disappears. So when we study these factors, it is insentient, jadatvam, and then drishyatvam. 5 factors we have seen of entire anatma. So this is what is the world. But who am I? There is another factor in this world. There is another factor. What is the nature of that? Existence, consciousness, bliss. In all the Upanishads, this is what is being discussed. This is what will be revealed. So if you understand one Upanishad, you will understand all Upanishads. So the second factor is the sentient factor. That is the real life. How do I try to understand this sentient Satchidananda principle? The pure consciousness existence principle is the purpose of study of the Upanishads. And how do I learn to segregate or differentiate or discriminate between the anatma, matter principle, and atma, the spiritual principle? We all have to do this in our own mind, because in our own mind is this secret. I cannot see that outside in the world, but I will be able to know that secret inside me, because it is in my mind. It is a part and parcel of me, the individual. So Atma is something which is always there. Always there. What about the body? Body is seen. It is not seen in the sleep state. So we have to understand these 2 factors very clearly. The moment we understand this distinctly, clearly in our own intellect, and we own up the spiritual Atma as my real nature, that state is called as Kaivalya. It is a state of liberation, moksha. In the last verse of this Upanishad, it describes, it defines Kaivalya. Last verse. And it says Kaivalya means liberation. Liberation means what? The individual soul which was living in this body and thinking that I am the body, I am born on a certain date, that individual learns to understand that the body is only a transient phenomena. It is not going to be permanent, but there is a permanent feature of mine which has never changed, and it is a substratum of this body's functions. And also, not only that, it is a substratum of the whole world. So Upanishadic study is a study like any other objective science, but it has an additional aspect of applying it to yourself. So the first portion is understanding what is the Atma. Is there a factor like that? Trying to understand that is the first portion, which is called as Atma Anatma Viveka. Discrimination or distinguishing the 2. Once you have distinguished the 2 by the study of Upanishads, then the Upanishad tells me how I can apply that into my nature. And this is the most important point. Many people, they just read the Upanishads and then they are lost. They don't go to the second phase at all. Same thing happens with Bhagavad Gita also. There is some God who is there, some Krishna is there somewhere, and then he gave us the teaching. I just heard a few verses and read the meaning of a few verses, few chapters here and there, and they think that that is all about spirituality. But that is not true. If you are a sincere seeker, you go through the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, you learn the 12 Upanishads, then you come to Brahma Sutra, which unifies all the principles and gives you Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahma Eva Naparaha. That is the essence of the entire spiritual study. So sincere seeker goes through all this. So far we have done 15 verses, and before I go to the slide where we left last time, I'll just go back and play this this particular verse, the 16th verse. Yat param brahma sarvatma vishwasyayatanam mahate sukshmatva sukshmatanam nityam sattvam tvameva tat. This is a Mahavakyam. From this verse onwards till the 22nd verse, each verse is telling me, teaching me that there is something common between me and the creator of this world. The creator is there in this body also. The creator is there in the entire universe. How do I understand this? This principle is very, very beautifully analyzed in Chandogya Upanishad. And this principle you should remember all the time. I'll explain to you the principle in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Try to understand this principle clearly in your intellect. Whenever we try to analyze the world or anything in creation, we say there is a cause. There is a cause for this universe, and the universe which we experience is an effect. It is a product. It is born from the cause, it exists in the cause, and it resolves into the cause. Okay? Creation, whenever we take creation as a subject for study in the Gita or Brahma Sutra or in the Upanishads, this is what you should understand about creation. In the Upanishads, they say Brahman. Brahman is a name. It is a name given to an entity, a reality. That Brahman is the cause of the world, entire world. So the first point is what? The cause is there in the effect. For the whole world, Brahman is the cause. Brahman means what? It is the pure existence consciousness principle. It is this is the background to this, all the verses which are coming forward. This is the whole background. So Brahman is the pure existence and consciousness principle. I am that principle. I have to learn from the study of Upanishad that I am a conscious living being. And that is my real nature, and that is where I was born from. Many people ask the question, where was I before the birth of this body? The answer is there in this verse. Because it says it is Nityam. What is Nityam? Tat Brahman is Nityam. Nityam means it is eternal. It exists. So who am I? I am that pure consciousness appearing in this body. That's all. And for a few years, I undergo the experiences of the world. Here, I undergo experience of the world means what? That pure consciousness, which can exist by itself, is appearing now as this body listening to this class. After the class is over, I go to sleep in the night. Again, I go back to my real nature, which is my consciousness. In sleep, I am that pure consciousness. Again, I get up in the morning, I do some activities, and then I go back to that consciousness. That is my real nature. How does this happen? It happens. Now, how it happens is a big question. There is a big answer to that. The scriptures will give you that, and it will say Maya Shakti is there in that consciousness. There is a power. That power can illumine the entire universe with differences. So creation is basically the cause of this entire world is pure consciousness. If you understand this pure consciousness and as your real nature and contemplate on this, you will arrive at that consciousness for sure. This is a guarantee from the Upanishads, because Upanishad is telling us what our nature is. Millions of people before us have learned the same Upanishads, and they have understood their real nature and they have got liberation. Liberations mean what? No more rebirth. This is also a proof that the Upanishad tells us. There is no other proof for this. Otherwise, what happens if I remain as the normal person without any knowledge of my real nature? I will also be born again and again in this world, again and again take a body and go through the different joys and sorrows. So the fundamental thing is to understand there is something which is, number one, permanent. What is the world? World is the three bodies, Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. The world is Sthula Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha, and Karana Prapancha. We have studied this in Tattvabodha. I'm just repeating it. This is the world, and I am the pure Satchit Ananda principle. That Satchidananda is called as Brahman in one word. So whenever the final answer is this, that I am that pure consciousness from which the entire world is coming, it is existing and it is resolved. This is the ultimate answer you have to give to yourself to satisfy your own seeking. So in this verse, it says that is called as Supreme Brahman. And what are its features? It is the self in all. All here means what? All living creatures and insentient objects, which means the entire universe. The self means the inner content of the entire universe is this Brahman. Number one. Number two, it is the support of the universe. Support means what? Without this support, without this pure consciousness, the pure I, which acts like a adhishkanam, substratum, this universe which I am experiencing, the Sthula Shariram, the Sukshma Shariram, it cannot exist. It cannot exist. This is the way the vision of the Upanishad is. And the third factor it says is, it is the subtlest of whatever you can perceive in the universe. We all perceive, we all know forms, colors, sound, all these are there. But ultimately, there is one thing which is something which is there, but you can't perceive through your sense organs, but you can know it through the Upanishad. The Upanishad is the Pramana. It is the source of knowledge. And then, what is the last sentence in this? That Brahman is not paroksham, it is not somewhere in the heavens. Tvameva tat. This is $1 million sentence. That Brahman is you. It is your essence. Because it is all pervading, it is eternal, it is always there. So it has to be in the universe all the time. Whenever you see the universe, that Brahman is there. Whenever somebody is experiencing the universe, that person, there is this pure light of consciousness. You cannot have the world without this consciousness. You cannot have the world without this existence principle. So two features which we see all the time between Brahman or the Atma and the world. World is a dependent principle. It depends on this pure consciousness. And it is impermanent. Two factors. So the world is what? Impermanent and dependent. Whenever you analyze creation, you should come to this point. World is impermanent and dependent principle. Who am I? I am independent principle. I can exist independently without the world. This is a new revelation for me. I may hear it for the first time, but if I am able to absorb this teaching, I am a liberated person. So I am not impermanent, but I am permanent. And I am not dependent, but I am independent. So now with this two information about Brahman and the world, now you inquire, how do I do the inquiry? In the waking state, is Brahman there? Is the Anatma, is the Brahman and the world there? Yes, in the waking state, it's both are there. But in the waking state, my attention is not on Brahman, but it is on the world. All the time I'm looking at the world, interacting with the world. So I ignore Brahman's presence in the waking state. In the dream state, the same problem. I'm again involved with the dream objects. So I ignore the light of consciousness in which the dream is being seen. And what about the sleep state, Sushupti? Sushupti is a state where there is ignorance about the entire universe. I don't know anything in the sleep state. So in the sleep state, there is no realization possible of who I am. In the dream also, there's no realization possible. Only in the waking state, I will know my real nature. And that also through the Veda, study of the Veda. Now, what the Veda says is, beyond these three states, there is another state in which Brahman alone is. Turiyam alone is. That fourth state is called as Kaivalya, which is what the Upanishad is trying to explain. What is that fourth state? It is permanent. It can independently exist. Now, is it clear? I can understand. Yeah, we can all understand the fourth state. Why? That is what I am in my sleep state. In the sleep state, there is no world. Only thing is, I was ignorant. Who am I in the sleep state? Now I know that that is not a state of ignorance, but that is a state of Kaivalya. Beyond that state, sleep state is only a tamasic quality of the matter principle. So when I listen to the Upanishad and apply this knowledge to myself, when it says that Brahman is you, now I am able to understand, because all the three states when I see and analyze, then I can see the substratum from where this whole world is rising and resolving. That in essence is the meaning of this verse. So it has taken almost 25 minutes for me to explain to you the essence of this, which is the essence of the entire study of spiritual science. Whatever you may study, this is what it is. You can go to any guru, any teacher, he will have to explain to you finally this principle. It may take years. The guru may take years to explain this principle, but ultimately he has to teach only this. From 16 to 22 they are very important sections. Understand, contemplate, meditate on these verses. So last week we took this, we have analyzed, I explained to you why an equation is required. Equation is required between Jeevathma and Paramatma because they are diametrically opposite in nature. Like 8 cannot be equal to 7. 8 and 8, if you say equal to sign there, it makes no sense because you don't need the equal to sign there. Only when the figures 9, 1, 5, 3 are all different, minus is different than plus, but the ultimate essence is what? 9 minus 1 is 8 and 5 plus 3 is equal to 8. Therefore, an equation is required. Between the micro Jeevathma and the macro Paramatma, one is having superior attributes. One is a creator of the universe. And I, the Jeevathma, am just a creator of few things. How can I equate both of them? That is the question which a student faces. You say Paramatma's nature is the same as Jeevathma. Explain to me how. This is the explanation. Yat param brahma sarvatma. There is something which is common between the Jeevathma and Paramatma. Vishwasya ayatanam mahat. It is the substratum, ayatanam. It is the support of the entire world. This pure consciousness. Sukshmatva sukshmataram. Sukshmataram means what? It is the subtlest in creation. What is subtlest? Not the air principle, not the space principle, but Atma. We have seen last week, space, air, fire, water, earth, they go from subtle to gross. When you go from subtle to gross, how do you define them? Subtle has got one property, the gross has got 5 properties. The earth has got 5 properties, space has got 1 property. Therefore, in Vedanta, we say space is subtler than the earth. And in between comes the other 3 elements, air, fire, and water. Nithyam, this is where we stopped last week. Now, this is where we need to begin today. Most probably we'll just cover one verse today, but one or two verses, but this is the essence behind the entire 24 verses of this chapter. So the eternal, so what is this Nitya? Nitya means it is the cause. In the case of ornaments, what is the cause? Gold is the cause. In the case of pots, what is the cause? The cause is clay. You have hundreds of pots, but all of them are what? Nothing but clay in different name and form. Furniture. Furniture, what happens? You have chair, table, everything is there, but ultimately all of them are wood. So Karanam for the universe is this Brahman. Brahman has got two natures. One is the pure nature, another is the nature with gunas. What is with guna? We call it as Paramatma. What is without guna? We call it as Brahman. So this Karanam Paramatma, which exists before, during, and after the creation. That is why it is called as Nityam. In our intellect, we must, you see, in our intellect, we only have today the notion of birth and death. These are the two things in our mind. I was born, I will not be there. This is what I see in the world also. But what the Upanishad says is, your eyes are seeing this form and beings. Beyond the eyes, there is a consciousness principle. That is the revelation of the scriptures. That is what they say is Nityam. Nityam means eternal. So when I say you are immortal, how should you take this teaching? You should say, I am the consciousness in this body, which is eternal. This is the teaching. I am not saying that the body is eternal. I am not saying the mind is eternal. I am not saying your punya papam is eternal, the causal body. What I'm teaching, what the Upanishad is teaching is the consciousness, the Chaitanyam, the light in which this body is seen and the light in which the whole universe is known. The universe is known to exist. The universe is known. So existence and consciousness are always present in the universe. Intellectually, you have to segregate the existence consciousness and drop the world. This is possible by the teaching. If you understand the teaching correctly, like Karanam is the cause, the world is the effect. Effect is nothing but the cause in another form. Effect is nothing but name and form. All the time I'm seeing the gold only when I'm seeing the chain, bangle, ring. So I can have two visions. I can have the gold vision. I can have the chain or a ring or a bangle vision. A jnani will have the gold vision. Ajnani will have the chain vision. A jnani will have the Brahman vision. Consciousness is everything in the universe. Ajnani will have Sukshma Sharira, Sthula Sharira vision and the world of objects, that vision. Tattvam eva. This is what is called as Mahavakyam. Mahavakyam means equating Jeevathma and Paramatma. The individual micro and the macro are equated. Tattvamasi is a very famous Mahavakyam. Aham Brahma Asmi is another famous Mahavakyam. I am Atma Brahma is another famous Mahavakyam, which comes in Munduk Upanishad. Tattvamasi comes in Chandogya Upanishad. Aham Brahmasmi comes in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tattvam eva, tvameva tat comes in Kaivalya Upanishad. That Jagat Karanam, Paramatma, is from whom I have come. I here means this ahamkara, I, the ego, ahamkara, the reflected consciousness, in whom I exist. I am that pure consciousness. From there, I have, this body has come, in which the body is existing today, and in whom the body will resolve. Suppose this I, see what is there today? In this body, there is a notion called ahamkara, the I notion. How did this I notion come into this body? It is because of a reflection in this mind of mine. Whenever the mind joins a particular body, it is called as samyoga, birth. Whenever the mind leaves the body, it is called as viyoga, death. In this mind, there is a reflection of consciousness. Whenever the reflection is there, there is life in the body. This is called as Brahma Vidya. This is the most divine knowledge in the universe, because it teaches me I am a pure soul. I am a pure being. I know it now. I am not the Sthula Shariram. I am not the Karana Shariram. I am not the Sukshma Shariram. Therefore, I am free from identification as the three bodies as me. Now, in technical language, Tat means the Lord. Tvam means the Jiva. So Jeevathma is, in technical language, is called as thou, you. So from this Jeevathma and from the analysis of Paramatma, Tat Padartha and Tvam Padartha, Padartha means the meaning of the word called as Tvam, the meaning of the word called as Tat. From these two meanings, these two words, I retain a common element called as consciousness. And then I disregard the uncommon features. That process is called as Bhaga Tyaga Lakshanam. I retain some portion, I ignore some portion. I retain the consciousness from this body, I retain the consciousness from the world, the existence principle in the world, the existence principle in the body, I retain that, I remove the name and form. Then I can say that the Tat Padartha, Paramatma, is the Jeevathma. Vedantic study requires time, and Vedantic study requires application of the mind, application of the intellect. If your intellect is able to pick these points clearly, distinctly, you will receive the knowledge which is called as Brahma Vidya, the supreme knowledge of the Veda. How Aikyam is revealed? What is Bhagatyaga Lakshana? Jeevathma and Paramatma are not two separate entities. Essentially, both of them are one Atma. That one Atma is called as Advitiyam. Advitiyam means there is no second Atma. There is only one Atma which is non-dual. It is called as Nirguna Chaitanyam. Pure consciousness without any properties. The science of revealing the truth is called as Mahavakya analysis. We are right in the middle of the central teaching of all the Upanishads. There is one entity called as Atma. It is called as Nirguna Chaitanyam or Sat Chit Ananda principle, Tattvam. That is what I am in my original state. That is my original form. That formless nature is my real nature. This is where what will happen to me when this body is no more. And that Satchit Ananda is not affected by time. It can exist eternally. That eternal presence is called as the Lord. I, the Jeevathma, merge with that Lord every day in my sleep. Only thing I don't know that. The Upanishads come and reveal that to me, and that is how. So if somebody wants to know, can I have that experience of that merger with Paramatma? The Upanishad says that is what you are in your sleep state. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad reveals that. So, if you look at that fourth state as the real state, from there, now you try to analyze what is this world. The world is an appearance with two mediums. One medium is the body. The second medium is the world. Prapancha Trayam. Sharira Trayam. Sharira Trayam means the individual body, and in this individual body, which is called as Jeevatma, which is called as Karyam, effect. It is a product. Product of what? It is a product of Paramatma. And this Jeevatma name is given when you are experiencing the body. Suppose you're not experiencing the body, you are called as Atma, right at the top. Similarly, Upadhi number 2, the medium number 2, which is the Samashti, the total, including my body, including my mind, including my samskaras, all the living beings, samskaras, cosmos, all the planets and galaxies, we call it as Samashti, one word. In that Samashti also, there is that Atma, there is a reflection of that Atma which is called as Jagat Karanam, which is called as Paramatma. It is called as the Lord of the universe. In the presence of this Lord, this body can survive. The body is breathing, the pranas are breathing. The prana is nothing but the outside air, which is coming inside. The 5 elements outside is the same as the 5 elements of this body. The water principle in this body is the same as the water which I drink from outside. The outside and inside is only with reference to the body. Actually, what is there is one living organism called as the cosmic being, which is what is described in the Purusha Sukta. There is a set of verses, and there it says the whole universe is nothing but a cosmic being. Through the two upadis, one Atma is manifest. The Chaitanyam manifesting through the two mediums gets distorted. Distorted means what? I see or experience limited properties. My creative ability is very little. I can see only a small distance. I can hear only small, up to a certain decibel. So these are the limitations of the body. It is not the limitation of the Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is all pervading. It is eternal. It is there. One original Chaitanyam, which is attributeless, when it is going through the body, mind, and intellect, it has got Nikrishta Gunas, inferior qualities. They are all attributed to consciousness. Without the consciousness, nothing can survive. The same one attributed Chaitanyam is the universe. The universe has got superior reflection, superior qualities, attributes. Hence, the name is given to the universe as Ishvara. But both of them is one Atma, one consciousness. What is the Jeevathma's definition in the Vedanta? Nikrishta Guna Visishta Chaitanyam. Nikrishta Guna, inferior qualities, Chaitanyam with inferior attributes is called as Jeevathma. What is Paramatma? Chaitanyam with superior attributes is called as Paramatma. So consciousness associated with the inferior attributes is because of the inferior medium, which is the 3 bodies. Between us, we may have, you may have a superior mind, I may have an inferior mind, somebody may have a very great intellect. He can remember 100 verses. I may not be able to remember even 1 verse. Those are all small attributes of the Panchabhutas. Forget about all that. What is the essence? The essence is I am consciousness. Don't neglect this. I am existence principle. Any time of the day or night you want to know who I am, remember this one message from the Kaivalya Upanishad. I am that Satchit Ananda Atma. That's all. Throughout your life, all our study of the 12 Upanishads, this is the message. Every Upanishad, we will do this Mahavakya analysis. Paramatma definition, I told you. Utkrishta Guna Visishta Chaitanyam. Consciousness associated with superior attributes because of the superior reflecting medium. Param and Aparam. What is Param? Param means superior attributes. of the Paramatma. Aparam means what? Inferior attributes. These are all words, Sanskrit words. I'm just trying, they are always going to be used in all the Upanishads. This technical term, Bhaga Tyaga, will be there in all the Upanishads. What is the meaning of Bhaga Tyaga? It is dropping the superior and the inferior attributes and retaining the consciousness. Don't forget, we have to retain that consciousness. Otherwise, you lose who am I? Like after dropping the sleep state, you should not say that there is nothing, there is only blankness. You should say there is Chaitanyam, there is consciousness, there is Atma. Many people, they mistake that. We get Atma, which is neither Param or Aparam, which has neither Utkrishta or Nikrishta gunas. Gunas are at the level of perceptive world. When I see the world through my five sense organs, then we can call it as Para and Apara, inferior and superior. But when at the level of Atma, there is neither inferior or superior. Inferior, superior belongs to the medium of the mirror. It does not belong to the original face. Reflection in the mirror, because it is a convex mirror, the appearance is different. Reflection in a concave mirror is different. So mentally, I remove the reflecting medium of the body and the universe, the reflecting medium number 1 and the reflecting medium number 2, and look at myself as the attributeless Atma. Then you negate everything. Neti, 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 neti. You remove all the 3 states, neti. Remove all the 3 bodies, neti. Remove all the panchakoshas, neti. What happens? What is the remainder? The remainder is called as Atma. The remainder is called as pure existence, Sat. That Sat is also Chit. It is existence and it is also consciousness. Therefore, at no time can you negate this Sat and Chit. Neither when you're sleeping, neither before the birth of the body, neither after the death of the body, can you negate the Sat and Chit. Sat Chit is there forever. It was there before the creation. Sadeva Saumyam idamagre asi. Chandogya Upanishad reveals the fact that there is something, a reality, which existed before the creation of the universe, which the science can never figure out. Jeevathma minus the inferior attributes is the Atma. Paramatma minus the superior attributes is the Atma. All these are all Mahavakya analysis. This particular verse, or this entire slides which you're seeing, is Mahavakya analysis. You have to remember this in every Upanishad. Wave minus attributes of name and form is water. Ocean minus name and form is water. World minus name and form is Brahman. Body minus name and form is Atma. Aham Paramatma Asmi. I can happily say Tatutvam Eva. This is the same as Tattvamasi. So the attributes are incidental, what is, and they are negatable. They are attributes, the body, the mind, inferior memory, all that can be negated. They are not my intrinsic nature. Don't complain anything about your body. That is a that is a gift from the Lord for me to just to have some experiences in this birth. That's all. And it goes back to the Lord. Till the physical body is there, the attributes will be there. I can never say the attributes are not there in this body. Till the subtle body is there, the subtle intellectual, psychological attributes will be there. I will have emotions. I will have anger. I will have, these are all the psychological aspects of the subtle body. The causal body will have ignorance. Jnani will sleep. And he said, I didn't know anything in my sleep state. Ajnani will sleep. Ajnani will also say, I didn't know anything in my sleep state. But what the difference between Jnani and Ajnani? Jnani knows beyond the sleep state, there is my real self. Ajnani thinks that he is just coming back to this world of Jagrat. And he thinks Jagrat is the real world. So distortion conditioned by three bodies is the world. Psychologically, we can forget the body and own up consciousness. This is what Jnani does. In the Bhagavad Gita, this is very clearly said, Pashyan, Shrinman, Jigran, Sprishan, Naiva Kinchit Karomiti. This is Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, the 8th verse. Lord Krishna says, while the body is fighting the war, it also knows that it is not this body. Naiva Kinchit Karomiti. Body is seeing, Ahamkara is doing, but I am the Sakshi behind the Ahamkara, which is Akarta, Abhokta. It never does anything, it never enjoys anything. This is the essence of the Upanishadic study. I learn to look at myself as consciousness and not the body, mind. Soham ham saha. I am that Paramatma. You are that, that is you. Tat tvameva tvameva tat. That is how this verse ends. To avoid, why does the Upanishad tries to say you are that and that is you? Because the Upanishad wants to say that there is no part-whole relationship between Paramatma and Jeevathma. For example, we say that all Gujaratis are Indians. But we cannot say all Indians are Gujaratis, because Gujaratis are one part of Indians. Therefore, there is a part-whole relationship when you say, I am so-and-so, I belong to so-and-so community. There's a part and whole relationship. There is no part and whole relationship between Jeevatma and Paramatma, because in essence, they are the Atma. So, Jeevatma is equal to Paramatma, Paramatma is equal to Jeevatma, conveys the total identity, absolute relationship, not a relative relationship. In the Jagrata Avastha, there is a relative relationship. There is a part-whole relationship. I am a part of the Ishvara in the Jagrata Avastha. But in the real intrinsic nature, there is no Amsha-Amshi Bhava. No part-whole relationship. And that is what is being done here, Nirakaranam. It is being negated. Okay, so that was a very important mantra of the Kaivalya Upanishad, the 16th mantra. And if you have understood that mantra clearly, from 17 to 22 is a walkover. You will understand all these verses because your mind will be able to retain Atma and drop all the inferior and superior attributes. Now let us go to the 17th verse.
Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyadi. Prapanjam Yat Prakashate. Prapanjam Yat Prakashate. Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva. Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva. Sarva bandhaih pramuchyate. Sarva bandhaih pramuchyate.
Jagrat Swapna Sushuptyas Adi. In the Jagrat state, Swapna state, and the sleep state. Prapancham, the world of these three states, Yat Prakashate, who illumines this? What is the knowing factor behind these three states? Tad Brahma Ahamiti Jnatva. That Brahman, which is the illuminator of these three states, know that Sarvabandhai pramuchyate, knowing that this Brahman, this Atma, is the illuminator of the three states, I can get liberated from all the sorrow in life. Sarvabandhaihi pramuchyate. I get liberation from all my worries. Why? Because I've been thinking I'm the body. I am born and I'm dying. But now it says that I'm not the body, but I'm the light in which this body is known. The light in which the world is known. Knowingness is not a part of the world. Knowingness is a separate principle. And that is the intrinsic truth of myself, that knowing principle, permanent principle, eternal, immortal principle. The relative experiences of the three states are illumined by what light? In the day, in the Jagrat Avastha, you may say, oh, the sunlight is there, therefore I can do all my transactions. The Upanishad says, don't stop with your Jagrat Avastha, go to Sushupti, go to Swapna. Tell me, what light is there in Swapna? In what light do you see the Swapna? This is one of the brilliant questions for inquiry taken up by a seeker. Each seeker has to take this for himself. Then he will know that this is the truth of the world. Realizing that that pure light is me, my nature, I can get moksha, the fourth purushartha. Dharma, artha, kama, I know. I can work and I get it. But moksha, I cannot get by karma. I can only get by jnanam. What jnanam? Mahavakya jnanam, which reveals this truth to me in this form. So who is the Jeevathma? The first line says, Jagrat Swapna Sushupta Adi. Adi means etc. Other experiences. Prapancham Prakashate. That Jeevathma is nothing but the consciousness obtaining manifesting through the individual body. That is the real Jeevathma. We have never paid attention to this fact in our life. The Upanishad is revealing a new nature of mind. As witness of the three states, I can say that I am the Sthula Shariram. Through the Sthula Shariram, through the gross body, I illumine the waking state. And when I am illumining that illumining light is called as Vishwa, the Jiva. One aspect of the Jiva is Vishwa. These are all names given in the Munduk Upanishad. Sukshma Shariram. Now we go from this phenomenal world of waking to another world, which is the world where you are only with Sukshma Shariram. In the waking state, I am with the Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and Karana Shariram. In the dream world, I am only with the Sukshma Shariram, the subtle world, subtle body, and the Karana Shariram. So in the Sukshma Shariram, through the subtle body, the mind, in the dream state, I am called as Taijasa. Taijasa means it's a light which is brilliant. Karana Shariram, third body. You see, normally I never know all this. I think I am the body and then I was born and that's it. You know, I don't know about all this Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. Only when I come to Tattva Bodha and the Upanishad, in Tattva Bodha, I'm just given I'm just given an introduction. In the Bhagavad Gita, I learn a little bit more. But when I come to the Upanishad gives me a direct message. Karana Shariram is the body in which I am sleeping. It is different than the body which I am seeing in the waking state. There is a difference. How can I believe this? Because it is the Upanishad which is saying this. It is a pramanam. Like for heaven, there is something called as heaven. There is something called as 14 lokas. What is the pramanam? It is the Veda only. It is the same Veda which is teaching me that apart from these 14 worlds, there is something called as Brahma. Now, the Karana Shariram, now you see, when we are technically trying to analyze the three states, the Upanishad gives a name to the individual which is experiencing that. So I am called as Vishwa when this body, gross body is there in the waking state. I myself am called as Taijasa when I'm only experiencing the mind and its projections. I am called as Prajna when I am in the sleep state. But Vishwa Taijasa Prajna is not my real nature. It is all material. It is inert. What is my real nature? Which is the Sakshi of all the three states. It is the Abhokta Akarta. It is never an enjoyer. It is never a doer of actions. It is called, that is why it is called as Sakshi. It is Akarta. Akarta means not a doer. Therefore, it is called as Sakshi. And what is the nature of that Sakshi? The nature of the Sakshi is, it is always present. Eternal. Always existent. And always knowing principle. But how do you say it is knowing principle in sleep state? I don't know anything. That is because the Sakshi is a light in which You can know things and you can also know that nothing is there. Knowingness is a factor when the mind is there. When the mind is there, active, when the mind is awake, you have a feeling that I know the world. But the mind is sleeping. When the mind is sleeping, the Sakshi illumines the absence of the mind, absence of the thoughts, absence of the vrittis. This is how you should analyze your nature. See how deep we are going inside. The definitions of Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti, these are all from the Tattvabodha. Verse number 13 of Tattvabodha says, what is the waking state? It is the state in which I experience the sense objects with the sense organs. That is what is called as the waking state. And in that state, the waking body is called as the gross body, and it is the Jiva is called as Vishwa. What is Swapana state? Swapana state is the dream state where I am projecting from the sleep state all the impressions which I have gathered in the waking state from the Karana Shariram, the storehouse of all the impressions of the world. In our body, there is a storehouse, like the memory bank, like the iCloud. This is the Atma cloud, much, much bigger than all the iClouds which you can ever think about. So from this Karana Shariram, I project a small portion of that impressions. I project, and that becomes my dream state. And when I am experiencing that dream state, I am given a new name. I am not the Vishwa. I am called as Taijasa. Sushupti. What is the sleep state? Sleep state is a state where I did not know anything, but I enjoyed a good sleep. So there was two things there. One is ignorance of the world. At the same time, I also enjoyed. I was a bhokta. So that state where I am enjoying without anything in the universe is called as prajna. See how deep these meanings are. When you understand the meaning and put it together with the Upanishadic teaching of the Mahavakyas, they take you straight to the Atma. Three names of reflected consciousness obtaining in the three states as Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna. They are put together as Jeevathma, as the individual experiencing the world. But this individual is what? He is only got inferior attributes. Body is sick, then you say, I am sick. I am suffering. This is adhyasa. This is a superimposition. Actually, I am not this body. I am the consciousness, illumination, the light inside. I am pure consciousness. That is my real intrinsic nature. But I have a superimposition. Cognitively, I make an error in judgment about myself. When the mind is angry, I say, I am angry. The language we use is, I am angry, I am sick, I was born. Mind is not conscious of thoughts in the coma state. But what do I say? I was unconscious. Even though my nature is consciousness, consciousness is experiencing absence of thoughts. Attributes of the body and mind, instruments, are transferred to consciousness wrongly. This is what we studied in the Adhyasa Bhashyam. For those who did the Adhyasa Bhashyam, you can understand the importance of Adhyasa Bhashyam now. When we do the Mahavakya analysis, this is very important. Therefore, I, this consciousness, appear to be with inferior attributes. Like the reflection in the convex mirror. Suppose you become the reflection in the convex mirror, you will say, my head is so big, my body is so big. So same mistake we are making when we are in this body. What is the real nature of the Jeevathma? Tat Brahma iti Jnatva. The consciousness obtaining in my mind, in the Vyashti Upadhi, manifesting in my mind, revealing the presence of the mind and the body and the sense organs and the world of three avasthas. That consciousness is Paramatma. It is the Sakshi. It is the Brahman. That Brahma iti Jnatva. So how does the individual get freedom from sorrow? Not by knowing the consciousness in his body only. That is the Jiva Shariram, Jeevathma. But the Jeevathma has to know there is a consciousness which is Paramatma, which is Brahman. Unless you know Brahman and you equate that Atma with Brahman, then only the freedom happens. Then only the Mahavakya is complete. It is the same consciousness obtaining in the macro Samashti Upadhi, the Paramatma, and the micro Vyashti Upadhi. Jeevatma is the consciousness, Paramatma is the consciousness. Therefore, we say Jeevatma is equal to Paramatma. This is the final Mahavakya equation. This is called as Aikyam. What is the benefit of the study of this Mahavakyam and doing all this jugglery about Jeevatma, Paramatma, inferior attribute, superior attribute? What is the benefit of all this? Because the benefit is I learned to disidentify with the Upadhi Sharira, the medium of reflection. See, only when some teacher explains to you these mantras in this format, then only the knowledge is complete. Self-study will not give this benefit. If I take myself as a reflected image in the mirror, I will be a miserable factor all the time. Like if I am taking this body experiences as my real nature, you will always be miserable. That is the ahankara. It is not the sakshi. So the condition of the mirror, when the mirror moves, when the mirror moves, you say, I'm moving, I'm going to America. For transactional purposes, all this is true. But when you're trying to understand who am I, then you should go into this type of analysis. When the mirror is dirty or broken, I say I have impurities. For example, in my mind, I have anger. In my mind, I have desire. In my mind, I have delusions. In my mind, I have jealousy. In my mind, I have so many complications. I am born, I am dying. All this is all in the mind. It's a thought only, right? So these are all conditions of the mind mirror or the body. The truth is, my original face is ever free from the reflected face. Always you are standing in front, pure. You are not affected by the mirror's qualities. I am the consciousness, I'm ever free, I'm not reflected in the three states. That is the correct conclusion. Identifying myself with the reflection and not the reflecting medium makes my life leave the bondage and become free. The ever-free Atma Jnanam makes me realize I was never bound. See, the beauty is that this knowledge is always available to us. Only thing is, we have to apply it to us, apply this knowledge to us. What the final message of the Upanishad is, I was never bound. Not before the study, also I was not bound. Therefore, moksha is always nitya moksha. I'm always free is the ultimate lesson I should get from the Upanishad. Ever existing pure consciousness is my real nature. And that consciousness was not born, it will never die. By knowing this, what is the advantage? The advantage is sarva bandhai pramuchyate. This is what the Upanishad tells. I am released from the shackles of the sharirams. See, whenever I identify with the shariram, the adhyasa happens, the superimposition happens. From Atma level, there is no bondage, there is no liberation. From the body side, I'm always bound. I'm bound, I am born, I'm suffering. And this body will undergo these things till the prarabdha is over. You see, that you should remember. After this knowledge also, after today's lecture also, I have understood I am Atma, I am consciousness, I am very clear now. But tomorrow morning, will I face some difficulty? Who is facing the difficulty, the body or you, the consciousness? It is the body. It is the mind. How long this body and mind will be there? Let it be there, it's okay. It will come and go, it will come and go. That is why I keep saying, let the life go on, but you are now a different, transformed person. You can say proudly what Lord Krishna said in the 20th verse of the chapter 2 in the Bhagavad Gita. Na jayate briyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. I never understood this message in the Gita. I thought something was there, and but now it is so clear. How it is so clear? Because I have done the Mahavakya analysis. I've studied the Mahavakya, the Upanishad. The Upanishad Mahavakya is the one which gives me this knowledge that I am never born. I will never die. And I will never cease to be, because I am unborn, I am eternal, I am changeless, I am ancient. So this, whatever is said in Bhagavad Gita, a very important shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, the 20th verse, this should ring in your mind all the time. Na jayate mrete va kadachit, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha, ajo nitya shashvata yam paravanaha, hanyate hanyamane sharire. This is the immortal message. If I keep rotating this idea in my mind, I will one day be able to convincingly tell, my intellect will tell my mind and my body, I am this immortal self. Whatever I experience is changing. Mortality of the world, Brahma Satyam is the truth, Jagan Mithya is the truth. Mithya means what? The world is an appearance, like a reflection in the mirror. Like the dream world is an appearance. That's all. I am unaffected by anything happening in the world. The 18th mantra is again a continuation of the 3 states. the three realms of experiences. I will just play them this thing, but we'll take up the analysis in the next session.
त्रिषु धामसु यद्भोग्यम् त्रिषु धामसु यद्भोग्यम् भोक्ता भोगश्च यद्भवेत् भोक्ता भोगश्च यद्भवेत् तेभ्यो विलक्षणः साक्षी तेभ्यो विलक्षणः साक्षी चिन्मात्रोऽहं सदा शिवः चिन्मात्रोऽहं सदा शिवः
Trishu dhamasu yadbhogyam. Dhamasu means the abode. In three abodes, I am there. What does this mean? Ahamkara is enjoying three states of consciousness: waking, dream, and sleep. In all the three states, there is a bhokta, bhogyam, and bhogaha. Bhokta means the enjoyer. Bhogyam means the enjoyed objects. Bhogaha means the process of enjoying. So in three abodes, the jiva, the lower jiva, the ego I, the ahamkara, is having experiences. Tebhyo vilakshana sakshi. Different from all those three states is sakshi. He is the witness. And what is the nature of this witness? Chinmatroham sada shivaha. Chinmatroham means what? It is of the nature of consciousness. What is this nature? It is the witness. Number one. It is not, see, what is a witness? Witness is something which is never affected by whatever is witnessed. I am the consciousness. Whatever is happening in the world, I am not affected by it. That is what is called as Sakshi. Chinmatroham. Sada Shivaha. It is, Chinmatra means what? Pure consciousness. So the nature of Sakshi is, it is always eternally present as I am. This I am can never be negated from you. That is the truth which Upanishad reveals. This is what is called as Sada Shivaha. Most auspicious, Shivaha. Shiva means auspicious. Why is it auspicious? Because it is ever there. Eternal, immortal. Shiva is immortal. That is the nature of the jiva. From where the jiva has fallen and then, small troubles in the body or mind or the world, the jiva gets affected. If I know this truth, I am ever free. Very beautiful verses. These are all fantastic verses. After you learn these verses, you can never say that I cannot meditate. These are all, you just have to close your eyes and say, I am pure consciousness. Okay, we'll continue and elaborate on this verse and see the other slides next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, there are several points in this. I'll start with Manikandan. What he's saying is, in waking state, we are both Brahman and the world, okay? But the majority of time, you're ignoring Brahman. How can we identify ourselves as Brahman? Only through the study of scriptures. You get reminded that how to do this differentiation I have taught you in the today's mantras. How can we identify ourselves as, okay, since Brahman cannot be experienced by sense organs, even when we cannot think or make inference, what is the way to identify ourselves? Okay, you must remember that Upanishad is a pramanam. Upanishad is like my eyes. My eyes can tell me there is a world in front of me. My eyes can tell me this body is there. But my eyes cannot tell me that Brahman exists, that consciousness is there. So what is the source of this knowledge? You should never forget that the Veda is the source of knowledge. Again and again, tell your intellect, I will not be able to see Brahman. I will not be able to hear Brahman. But Brahman is there. That light is there. Because of that light only. And if you know, actually speaking, if you are able to come to that pure existence and consciousness in the state of meditation, if you are able to get that essence in the state of meditation, then what happens is you can easily apply that in the waking state. It is important for us to meditate on this truth that Brahman alone is. Sometime you have to give in your, sometime you have to allocate for a certain period of, maybe for a month, 2 months, you should allow 4 or 5 sessions, and you must go through this, and then you will be able to apply it in the Jagrat Avastha. Okay? All right. Mohan is saying, Karam is Karanam in another form. Okay. How we can prove that there is a reflection of consciousness? Is there any logical way to understand? How can we? And this is the same answer. You have to have the belief in the Upanishads. Belief means what? It is something which is proven. Initially, it is taken as a belief, but it is proved after some time. After you have done mananam and nididhyasanam, you will be able to understand whatever you believed in becomes the okay, that's all from the chat. Yeah, Deepak, go ahead.
I just wanted to understand if I'm correct, the consciousness through the upadhi of body,
yes,
manifests itself as Jeevathma, which is an inferior attribute.
Correct. Yes, you're right.
That's
yeah,
correct.
That's right.
And the consciousness through the upadhi of name and form of this Jagat manifests itself as Ishvara, a superior attribute.
That's correct, yes.
The correlation of the consciousness with the Upadhi body as Jeevatma, I've understood. Ishvara, why do you bring Ishvara is not clear to me.
Okay, see, what do we experience in the waking state? Do I experience only my body or do I experience the world? I experience
Both.
The world plus my body.
My body.
So I have said that the consciousness in this body is the truth, the real truth. But then if I don't know Paramatma or Ishvara, if I don't bring Ishvara into my life at all, I will always be thinking, what is the world? What is this world? What is this world? Who are the other beings? Is Atma one or many? All these questions will keep on coming. In order that the questions of the Jeevatma are put to an end, the Mahavakya takes into consideration the analysis of both the Jiva, the individual, and the total. The total is Samashti. The Samashti is a very important analysis in the Mahavakya analysis. You cannot ignore. Because the way you should look at the world is, I am the individual Vyashti and the world is Samashti.
And that's total is Ishvara.
Yes, the total is called as Ishvara and the individual is called as Jiva.
So from a very layman's term, the total is called Ishvara, is as if this entire creation of name and form is nothing else but a manifestation of that Ishvara.
Absolutely.
Which is Brahman.
Which is Brahman, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. I'm glad that all your fundamentals are getting so beautifully cleared up. You know, when you came for these sessions 3 years ago, 2 years ago, your fundamentals were all upside down. But today I can see, Deepak, tremendous clarity in your thinking. Very good.
Thank you, Acharya ji. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you had something follow up?
So I'm through.
Okay, all right, Shaman. Yeah, go ahead.
Shekharji, Hari Om Shekharji, and once again, a very beautiful session. And I was just intrigued at Manikandan's this thing. He says, do we need a belief in Upanishads?
Yes.
It's not just belief, but it is actually faith, which comes probably a little close. It doesn't still give the essence of Shraddha.
That's correct.
Shraddha in Sanskrit is Shraddha.
Yeah.
That means the Shrit is the highest and Dha is what holds. So if we think that the Upanishad has the highest interest of the individual Jiva, that is Shraddha. And earlier in your Kaivalya itself, you have actually described, isn't it? Am I right? Shraddha, Bhakti, and Dhyanam.
Correct, yes. These are the three
essential core elements.
Yes.
Without this, we should just not even bother about it.
Yeah. If you don't have Shraddha in the scriptures, don't even attend these classes. Very important, very simple.
And what I love this is, if I was to translate Shraddha, therefore Shraddha is the one peak of the triangle. So it is the knowledge, the head.
Yeah.
Bhakti is my heart.
Correct.
So bhakti, and dhyanam is what I do.
Yes.
So there is something which I think, something which I embrace it in my heart, in my consciousness, and there is something which I do, which is the dhyanam, which is the nididhyasanam. So that's just really responding this. So in this 16th verse, it seems like that beyond a particular intellectual analysis, the essence of the Upanishads, therefore, in the final realm is to be is to become, isn't it?
Yes.
So what we have learned through our intellectual analysis, through all the Panchakosha, Viveka, and everything else, and what Kaivalya is telling, all the Upanishads, is basically you come to this final frontier where there just isn't anything else. It's a very strong intention that I'm going ahead. Yeah?
Yes.
Is that correct? So to be is to become, or Brahmavit, Brahmaiva Bhavati. Yeah?
Yes.
So once you have the knowledge of the Brahman, you just have no option, I feel, but to
Yeah,
become
no
a
option.
Brahman.
You become
Yeah.
that. That's all, because that is what is the truth.
Yeah. So I was just trying to think, like, what was the question? There was a question. Question is, in the final realm, and maybe I should actually read what it was not written today, but it was written in January, and it was because I was reflecting on the Bhagavad Gita shloka, you know, which it says Uddharet Atmanam Atmano, you know, that particular
Sixth
one.
chapter, yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually reflecting on this: control the self, by the knowledge of the self, one controls the lower self, that is to say the mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so this just allow me to read, because it allows me to express what I'm thinking about the intellect. And then the question comes, okay? So there is a catch-20, and yet catch-22, yet who shall know the self when the Mahamaya so deludes the senses and the mind? I row my boat east, and the winds of desire push me away further into the west. What then shall save me? An earnest prayer. Let all my desire be one, to converge only into one desire, the desire for the Lord himself. This is the bhakti part of it, yeah? The very source that one breathes, that desires into us all, is the Srishti, not his own desire. If we have to conceptualize,
Yeah.
this Srishti which we see the world, that is indeed the desire of the Lord himself. He alone manifests in myriad forms, which shall thus create the delusion, the moha of this and that, creating the eternal drama of life. The master dramatist watches on the poor human mortal souls. So I have a complaint against the Lord himself. Mortal souls largely fret and fume, punctuated with few spots of enjoyment of within the Maya's net. The Jiva delighted falls for the bait. No, my dear Lord, I see the plot now. I shall not play the game anymore. I pray, save me, save me. Enough of this merry-go-round, the samsara chakra. I have done my bidding. Now show me the way. And the prayer is, put blinkers on my senses, blind my mind by thine light. Thus it sees not another light. Yes, indeed, enough is enough. My own brain can cope with it no more. Show me the path. I must return home to thee. Even the learning knowledge, so this is the intellect part of it, learning knowledge, etc., fascinates me no more. For all these thoughts are no more than the words. Put together, it creates a semblance of wisdom, of jnanam. I know there is none other, the joy and delight but in you. You alone are the Satchitananda. I wish to play no game, your game no more. Take me home to thine abode, Arium. What I'm asking you, the question now comes. I'm asking you, beyond a particular point, don't you feel our own intellect is a hindrance, is an obstacle?
Yes, it is. It is said in the scriptures also that our own intellect becomes a hindrance when you keep on analyzing the world too much.
Right.
So drop the analysis of the world and surrender.
That Sharanagati is the final thing?
Yes. Final 66th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva
Yeah.
Dharman Parityajya. Dharma of the intellect also you would surrender.
So in other words, there is a very important message here that there is a very strong will and intention. Once you know what is written in the Upanishads and all the Vedanta, we actually have to have that firm, the same, back to the square one, Shraddha, Bhakti and Dhyana, full stop.
Correct.
There is nothing else more to do.
Yes, there absolutely nothing else, because you see, even in the sleep state, what happens to all the Veda which you have, the Vedic knowledge and all the scriptural knowledge in the sleep state is gone.
Right.
It is gone, in the sense that you are alone there as Kaivalya, without the Veda also. So in Upanishad Upanishad, it clearly says that in this state of final realization, even Veda becomes a Veda.
Okay. Yeah. So would you reckon that the fact that, we feel very happy, I mean, if we have a good restful sleep, the very reason that we wake up quite happy and alert is because we have been in that realm of Brahman?
Yes, 100%.
Because
100%.
that's really,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. That was the question.
You see, as a seeker, you will find that you're enjoying your sleep much more nowadays.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
earlier your dreams were affecting you a lot. But as a seeker, when you start learning the scriptures, you will find your dreams are dwindling. It's coming down and down and down.
So does it happen in the Karana Sharira,
Yes,
where there is
you're going beyond the Karana Sharira to the truth.
Yeah. So in the Karana Sharira, the three avasthas which we are going through,
Yes.
not Karana Sharira, three avastha, there is a reordering of our
psyche.
Vasanas are.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. See, that is why they say the prarabdha karma, you cannot do anything. The sanchita karma, which is the accumulated impressions, those are getting destroyed slowly.
Okay.
And once that destruction happens, you will find I'm able to sleep, I'm able to enjoy the life also more. I don't have so much of anxiety for the future anymore. I don't really regret the past anymore. These are all the signs. These are all the transformation which happens when the knowledge becomes ripe.
Is there a possibility that more intense the spiritual practice?
Yes,
the more intense.
Yes, absolutely. This is how the jnanis, they describe the path of the spirituality. They say these are all the signs which come in between. These are all the signposts which tell you that you are progressing in the spiritual path.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, but tell me. Yeah, tell me.
Wonderful. Actually, today's class was wonderful because again we are touching about the Mahavakyam. One question is, we say Atma is not, or you cannot see it or you cannot sense it through the five senses.
Right.
But this whole Jagat, what we see, in the light of the Veda knowledge, we see that we see the existence in the world. Similarly, we see the Chaitanya Rupam in all the living beings. Only thing is, I don't know how to interpret the bliss in this, but at least these two attributes which we primarily assign it to the Atma, we can clearly see that. So now where am I going wrong to see that now? From the initial understanding was I cannot see that, or otherwise I cannot use the sense organs to see that. But here, using my eyes or otherwise using my mind, I am having the feeling that yes, I am seeing the Parabrahma here in front of me. Whatever I am doing, it is his activity, like that I am feeling that, right? So how do we understand this?
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. But the way there is one lesson you should not forget when you analyze the world, that in this world, whatever we are experiencing, there is one aspect which is the objective nature. There are objects in the world. The second is there is a reflection of that consciousness which I am experiencing in my mind. So I am not experiencing the original consciousness, but I am experiencing the reflected consciousness. In the reflected consciousness, when it is together with the mind, that is what is called as ahamkara. Now, if you take a box and you put the I notion, which is ahamkara, and the reflected consciousness, the ahamkara keeps on going out through the sense organs and experiencing the world. So what you are doing finally is you are negating the perception of the world of 5 sense organs. Inside your mind, what is there? That perception is gone now. Now you are left with reflected consciousness. That reflected consciousness, when it is alone without the ahamkara, it merges with the original consciousness. There is no more reflection and there is no more distinction. Therefore, what you should say is, I am pure consciousness. That should be your final conclusion. And then you have reached the truth. That's all. In your intellect, you should say that till now I was a ahamkara. With the 3 names I told you, Vishwas, Taijasa, Prajna. I have now learned from the Upanishad how to get rid of this 3. So now my ahamkara has become pure ahamkara without the world. This pure ahamkara is now got the teaching of the Upanishads. And it applies and says, now it says, aham brahmasmi. Earlier it was saying, aham vishwasmi. Aham taijasa asmi. Aham prajna asmi. The same aham learns to say aham brahmasmi. And at that level is the final level you can go from your study. After that, it is the Lord's grace. Whatever happens, it happens. So this is, you see, you have, I'm very glad that you have come to analyze up to this point of ahamkara level. Now, after that, so this is the level you have to say, these are all the reflected consciousness. Okay. Don't get bogged down again and don't get deluded again.
Okay.
Just to tell at that level, this is what is called as Vedantic meditation. This is what is called as Vedantic Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam means the mind, the ahamkara, changes the direction from outward looking to inward looking Atma.
Okay.
And then just practice this for a few months, years. Whenever you have the time, you may be in a train also, you may be in a bus, you may be walking, but you can get this knowledge in your buddhi. Whenever this happens, that is what is called as Nididhyasanam. And continue the Nididhyasanam as long as you can. What will happen is that ahamkara buddhi will become sakshi buddhi. That's all. That is what is called as moksha.
Okay.
And this is possible only through Mahavakyam. So don't ever neglect the Mahavakyam analysis in your own mind. In your own mind, this analysis should go on. Okay, I have learned a little bit of how to do the analysis. Now let me apply it again. Again and again, do that Mahavakya analysis. Let that analysis become deep in your subconscious mind. Then what you will realize is every time when you wake up, you will remember that subconscious presence of Sakshi in your sleep state when you wake up. Early in the morning, you will find, oh, I was that Sakshi, I'm now experiencing the world. That's all. There is no duality. There is only non-dual Advaita Atma. This is a slightly advanced lesson, which I'll be talking about in the next 2-3 verses.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, anybody else?
I do have a few more questions. Can I come back later on?
Yeah, you come back later on. Yeah.
Sure, thanks.
Shekharji, the one finds it very difficult when one goes deeper into Vedanta, especially Advaita Vedanta, to reconcile the approach of Shankara in the negation of the world and understanding the absolute consciousness, as opposed to the reaffirming the world and its problems and its ills, and how do you perform a role of service in society. That's one part I want to understand. The other part is that the Shankara's approach at one end is that example that you have also shared of Chandal touching him, and then and he was admonished him that please get out of my way, you are a lower caste. And then he actually turned out to be Shiva, who gave him a lesson by saying that the consciousness of the self in you and the self in me are the one. So that's one part. As opposed to Shankara's own philosophy, where he sort of very clearly say Adhikara, who's qualified to learn Vedanta, in which he espouses casteism. So when I read deeper into these subjects, I find these contradictions that keep on coming up. And while I understand at the highest level of truth, there is, well, you don't really have to do anything.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you see, to not do anything itself is a very
impossible.
Big, not do anything itself is a very big achievement in life. Okay, first question is about your service. Your contradictions about doing service and having this knowledge of Advaitam. How do you go about it? See, we should always remember there is a word called as Vyavaharika Satyam. There is a word. You cannot neglect it, and you have to live in that world. Because we all have this body, we have to live in the world. So while you are living in the world, it is a world of duality. There is no cheating. You cannot cheat yourself. Oh, it's all Advaitam and all that. No. Advaitam is only at the Paramarthika level. So when it comes to service, go ahead and do the service. You want to help people, go ahead completely, because that is the reality in the Vyavaharika world. In the transactional field, we are this body, and as long as we are this body, the body will act. It is the prarabdha of the body which to do the service. It is prompting you, go ahead and do the service, and absolutely no harm. Because only when you do that service, you will feel fulfilled in this life. I have done this service. Doesn't matter. So the first part of the question, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now coming to the second part, Manisha Panchakum. In Manisha Panchakam, this Shankaracharya's experience when he went and he took, when he saw the Chandala, and the Chandala, he said, you move away from me, move away from me. I want to cross the road. Why are you coming in between? Now, this is a Vyavaharika statement. But the Chandala reminded him of the Paramarthika. The moment the Chandala reminded Shankaracharya about the Paramarthika Satyam, immediately Shankaracharya bowed down to him, fell at his feet and said, you are my teacher. You are that Shiva because you are telling me the truth of that pure consciousness, which I forgot when I was doing this transaction going around the world. So the way you understand the Manisha Panchakam is, it is telling me it is teaching me the highest principle. The Paramarthika Tattvam is being propounded in that 5 verses.
And is that the essence of Hinduism?
It is. You see, Hinduism is very, very. Hinduism is a very broad term for describing the culture of India. It has got many, many facets. Advaita philosophy is a very, very difficult topic for a common man to understand because it requires proper study. So, when you talk about Hinduism, we only talk about religious part of the Hinduism, and then you lead a dharmic life of values and good conduct in the world. Leading a dharmic life is what is generally called as Hinduism. It does not contradict with the Advaita philosophy, because Advaita philosophy clearly says Dharma, Artha, Moksha, Dharma, Artha, Kama are also there in the world. It is not different from the Advaitic world of consciousness. That pure consciousness itself is this form. And this form itself is that pure consciousness. Never try to, whenever you're studying Upanishads and all that, a tendency comes in our mind to disregard the world and as something lower, and but you must always remember the ultimate Advaita truth, that whatever is seen is the same consciousness, which is that pure Brahman. The eyes, like I said, that at a junior level, Hinduism will only talk about dharma. Artha Kama is for everybody knows, earning money and enjoying pleasure. Nobody has to teach us. It is a natural way of our Prakriti. But to lead a dharmic life, you need background of scriptures. And scriptures have got the Veda Purva and Veda Anta. Veda Purva talks about dharmic life, of leading life of rituals and so on, and following the 43 samskaras of life. And that is what is dharma.
So I've understood. So, but that means that is also prescribed.
Yes, it is prescribed.
So it's not. It is not that you negate that.
No, don't negate. Many. That's what I said. That many people who have become jnanis, this seekers, suddenly they think that I should just completely neglect all the rituals and all that. Don't disregard the rituals. Only say that this is another facet of pure Brahman. That way, what will happen is you will always live in liberation. You are a Mukta Purusha, Jivan Mukta, only when you are at peace with the world. You see, you must come to peace with the world. This world I'm seeing outside is the same as that pure consciousness. And this will come. You see, when we do these Upanishads, what happens is the Ahamkara and Sakshi, that difference becomes more and more in the intellectual level. And when it becomes more and more at the intellectual level, you will find that you are able to reconcile with the world easily. Because it is, you see, you should not forget that the light in which I am seeing the world, you see, that consciousness is always there. Whenever I'm experiencing the world, consciousness is there. And that existence principle is there. Because of this only, I say the world is existing. The world is existing. The world is existing. Dharma is there in the world. There is. So, while looking at the world itself, you should be able to say, I am Sakshi. That is why I said there is that favorite verse of chapter 5, verse number 8 of the Bhagavad Gita, Pashyan, Shrinvan, Jigran. While the transactions are going on itself, while the world is going on, while the world is being experienced, Chatur Varanyam Maya Shrishtam, I have created the 4 Varnas. In the same verse, he says, ultimately he says, I am Akarta, I have not done anything. Because with the Ahamkara Drishti, you can do service. You can do all types of actions. You can do all karmas. With Sakshi Drishti, you can come out of all of them in a split second. So a Jnani has both the Drishti. He has a Sakshi Drishti, he has a Ahamkara Drishti.
Very nice. Very difficult, but that's the path.
That is the path. I want to be a Jnani, I should have both the eyes, to see both the eyes. Ahamkara Drishti, Sakshi Drishti. Sakshi Drishti, I don't do anything. Body is doing everything. Body is a part of Ishvara. Ishvara is the ultimate in the world. That's all. The ego is dropped. When the ego is dropped, you have already become Sakshi. It is all the intellectual, the analysis, all this is happening at the mind level. That is why the moksha, the liberation, is only a cognitive process. Nothing happens outside. Because of learning the Veda, you don't grow 2 horns or you don't grow an extra hair in your head, you know?
I wish.
And
Okay.
is it
Thank
true?
you. Thank you.
Is it true in reference to Deepak ji's point? Isn't it true that Shankaracharya, the time at which he came, Hinduism had become very steeped into a very ritualistic, very Brahmin-dominated society, and so he had to come and actually speak such very, very bold statements, when in reality there is nothing outside Brahman. The Jagat and Brahman, it is all within it. So there is no true things actually. We could actually, in our beginning, we can actually say Brahma Satya, Jagat Satya.
Correct. We
The
always say
reason why
Jagat Satyam in the beginning. We never say Brahma Satyam because we are not aware.
That's true. And the reason why he has used Jagat Mithya is to actually shake us out of the duality in which we are so steeped.
Yes.
And in order for us to even have forget moksha, even to have a normal, peaceful Vyavaharika life, there comes a times when you have to face life's problems. And unless you actually get to have some idea what the truth, what the reality is, that in truth, really there is no division.
Correct.
It is one Advaita, So I really think that this Jagat Mithya, he was really referring in terms of the Jnanam proportion. He wanted to shake people out of the hypnosis.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, but you had some other question also. You have, can you go ahead?
So, in the while explaining about the Atma, you just use the word that no, there is one Param Atma, we say. But at the same time, you also use the Aparam word, right?
Yes.
So what was the context of that? Why or where does that Aparam word come in?
Yeah, Aparam means the limited Jiva.
Oh, so you are referring to the Jeevathma as
Correct,
Aparatma.
yes. Aparam Atma means Jeevathma. Param Atma means Paramatma.
Okay. Okay. And another place you have mentioned Jeevathma equal to Paramatma, and we clearly know the Jeevathma is the limited reflection of the Atma, and the Paramatma is the much bigger version of it, right?
Yes.
But we cannot equate these two, right? Jeevatma equal to Paramatma, right? So
no,
that equation is not correct, right?
No, you equated only with reference to consciousness.
Okay, then okay. But actually, if you straight away look Jeevatma equal to Paramatma, it is definitely not equal.
Not. That is why we have the equation of the superior attributes, and the consciousness is on the left hand side, which is the Paramatma. Inferior attributes and consciousness is there in the Jeevatma. You remove the attributes, and that what remains is only Atma.
So the Advaita angle, that equation is acceptable.
Yes, only from Advaita angle we say that Jeevatma is equal to Paramatma. In Dvaitam, Jeevatma is never equal to Paramatma.
Yes, acceptable.
In Visishta Advaitam, Jeevatma is always inferior to Paramatma.
Okay, that's Dasa.
Okay.
Yeah. One more question, Shekhatji.
Yeah.
So in the deep sleep state, the wheeling power is at its maximum.
Yes.
Or prominent. And in the Swapna Avastha, we have the projecting power at its fullest or the prominent.
Correct.
In the Jagrata Avastha, if these two are combined, right?
Yes.
Right.
In the Jagrata Avastha, you don't know yourself, therefore your wheeling nature is also there. And then in the Jagrata Avastha, because you don't know your real nature, you're always projecting, I am the body, I am the mind.
Which is what the mind is going on projecting.
Yes, the mind is continuously projecting thoughts after thoughts after thoughts and thoughts. Ultimately, if you analyze, the bottom line is, I am the body, I am the mind. That is the ultimate truth, which you are thinking in the Jagrata Avastha.
Okay.
So in the Jagrata Avastha only, I have to do both. I have to remove the veil of the sleep state. I have to drop the projections of the mind.
Okay.
And then ask the question, who am I?
Okay. Sure.
Okay, very good.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Good night. If anybody else has got a question, you can always send me a WhatsApp. It's been a long session today. The Mahavakya analysis will bring a lot of questions in your mind. Let the questions come, because this is the final message of all the 12 Upanishads. The 16th mantra, Tvameva Tat, Tat Tvam Eva. Every Upanishad ends with this message. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Aham Brahmaiva Na Paraha. I am that Brahman is the final message. Munduk Upanishad again and again banks the same truth. After the Kaivalya Upanishad, I plan to take the Munduk Upanishad. Okay, that's a very beautiful Upanishad consisting of 3 chapters, 6 sections. Very nice, but anyway, let's see how it goes. Thank you and good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.